Hey, it's John Lee Dumas of EO Fire, and it's the Entrepreneurial You, the show for dedicated and passionate Caribbean entrepreneurs seeking daily inspiration, brought to you by author, speaker, and award-winning entrepreneur Heneka Watkis-Porter. You must be prepared to ignite.
Coming up on this episode of the Entrepreneurial You.
Your LinkedIn profile is not your resume. Your LinkedIn profile really is your online reputation. It's a digital first introduction, a digital, first impression. And people are checking you out, whether you recognize it or not. And you have the ability to set forth how you want others to perceive you.
Your brand is your public identity, what you're trusted for. And for your brand to endure, it has to be tested, redefined, managed, and expanded as markets evolve. Brands either learn or disappear. Lisa Gansky. Well, I continue to share with you about a social media management tool that will make your social media life way easier than it has been. It is less time consuming than anything you perhaps ever used before. And I'm talking about eClincher that can help you to improve your team and your clients' collaboration and productivity. Now, if you are interested, if you want to save back some time, get back time on your hands, then you can sign up for a free 14-day trial using my affiliate link, which will be in the show notes of this interview. So it is eClincher, the social media management tool to make your life way easier than it is now. Hey, greetings and howdy everyone. Welcome to episode 238 of the Entrepreneurial You podcast. I'm your host, Heneka Watkis-Porter. Today's episode is with Donna Serdula. Now, Donna pioneered the concept of LinkedIn profile optimization, realizing early on that the LinkedIn profile was so much more than just an online resume. The LinkedIn profile is a fantastic branding opportunity. A job change in 2006 led her back to LinkedIn as Donna looked for tools to help her build a sales territory. It was during this time she had her LinkedIn epiphany and forged her LinkedIn 4-point methodology, which we are going to be talking about. Now, Donna has been published. She has LinkedIn Profile Optimization for Dummies. That's her book, published by Wiley. And Donna has been featured on Forbes, Business Insider, Times Money Section, Wall Street Journals, Market Watch, LA Times, NBC, and so much more. So I'm really looking forward as we're going to be talking about optimizing your LinkedIn profile to increase visibility and boost sales. Welcome, Donna.
Oh, hi, Heneka. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. No, have you ever been to Jamaica?
I have been, yeah.
Yeah, what was your favorite thing here?
I have to say it was probably the water. It was so beautiful and clear and warm, and I could see fish swimming about. It was just lovely. I really loved it.
Ah, and you're talking about water, and immediately I just want to go dive in.
Me too.
All right, so you had your LinkedIn epiphany some years ago. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, it was quite some time ago. I joined LinkedIn back in 2005, believe it or not. So it's been a long time that I've been on this platform. How about you, Heneka? When did you join?
Ah, wow, good question. I do not remember. Maybe about 10 years ago, perhaps 10 years ago.
Yeah. It was funny. It started in like 2003. That's when the early adopters can say they got on. It took me a few years after that. But I got on mainly because of like what most people do. With LinkedIn, everyone talks about it being just this beacon for opportunities and jobs. And it was something that I thought, let me sign up for it. And I remember being confronted with my LinkedIn profile. Even back then, they had the LinkedIn profile, and I copied and pasted my resume because I thought that's what I thought you did. I remember I leaned back and nothing happened. Nothing happened. I thought LinkedIn was this huge waste of time. Fast forward, I had gotten a totally different job, nothing to do with LinkedIn, and not because of LinkedIn. I was in a really cutthroat sales position. And I remember as I was making cold calls, trying to drum up business, trying to fortify this territory, I remember thinking, I think maybe LinkedIn might be an option for me. But my real epiphany occurred when I started to realize that every single person that I was cold calling, I was Googling because I wanted to learn more about them. And my epiphany occurred when I realized they were probably Googling me. And the only pertinent result they were finding was my LinkedIn profile. And it looked like my dry, dull, out-of-date resume. And so, Heneka, that was my epiphany, was the realization that your LinkedIn profile is not your resume. Your LinkedIn profile really is your online reputation. It's a digital first introduction, a digital, first impression. And people are checking you out, whether you recognize it or not. And you have the ability to set forth how you want others to perceive you.
Oh, so yeah, you have the ability to set forth how you want others to perceive you. So let's talk about continuing on that, building a stronger LinkedIn presence. How do you build a strong one to begin with anyway?
Yeah, a lot of people did exactly what I did actually. And that is they look at the LinkedIn profile and they just copy and paste their resume in there. And, they think, well, LinkedIn is an online resume, but it really isn't. It really, really isn't, because, anybody and everyone can see your profile. Whereas with a resume is just for that person who is potentially hiring or interviewing you, and it should be aligned very specifically to that job that you are applying for. Your LinkedIn profile really needs to be much more broad because people are looking to learn more. They want to know who you are. They want to understand what it is that you bring to the table. And so one of the things that I've found, I've been doing this now, I've been writing LinkedIn profiles and resumes with my team for over 10 years now. And the one thing that I've found, it doesn't matter if you're a great salesperson. It doesn't matter if you can lead high-performing teams. None of this matters. I mean, you could be the best writer in the world. It doesn't matter. It's always hard to write about yourself.
Absolutely. So with all of that, we want to know, you are the expert. You help persons to do that. But let's get back to, some of the tips that you can give us to build that stronger presence.
Sure. So the first thing I would say is this. And this is actually my first tip in terms of my methodology, and that is know your goal. Why are you on LinkedIn? What are you trying to accomplish? Some people want a new job. Some people want to prospect and sell. Others want to do it for more reputation management purposes. They want to be seen as someone who has this amazing background. Other people are doing it because they want to be seen as an executive. They're doing it for executive branding, or maybe they want to really showcase their expertise. So you really first need to understand why you're on LinkedIn. And once you know why you're on LinkedIn, then you want to write the profile to that target audience. And so if you're in job search mode, it's hiring managers, it's recruiters. And so you really want to think, who is that target audience? But you also want to think about what are these people searching for, right? Because LinkedIn is more than just a social network. It is a search engine. And a lot of times people aren't just checking you out. They may be going onto LinkedIn because they need someone like you, but they don't know your name. So what you need to do is really figure out what those keywords are that a person might be using to find you. And so once you know your goal, once you know your target audience, and then you really start to really think about, if a person was trying to find me, what would those words be? Now you've got the platform. Now you've got the foundation to start writing a LinkedIn profile that's strategic, that's goal-oriented, that's actually going to help you. It's going to allow you to get found. It's going to allow things to happen. So, with that said, I always say, open up your profile and take a look at it. You want to make sure that all the imagery aspects are checked off. Do you have a good looking profile picture? Do you have a background graphic? Do you have a headline that's not just a default headline, but one that speaks to your value and infuses your keywords so you can get found more? And then scrolling through, you want to make sure you've got the about section and your trajectory. There is so much writing that can be done on a LinkedIn profile. It's amazing.
All right, so let's talk about in terms of posting now. How often should I be posting on LinkedIn? Should I be spamming? Should I be just posting when I feel like it? How often you think I should be posting?
Someone like yourself, Heneka, you have a following, you're successful, you have a platform. You very well could be posting once a day, and you have an audience who wants to hear what you have to say. And in that situation, I think once a day would work for you. For most people, though, I don't know if they have exactly that audience or that amount of knowledge to put forth. And so for them, I would say you don't need to be posting every day. And in fact, this is something that tends to blow people's minds, but LinkedIn doesn't reward quantity. It rewards quality.
Quality, huh?
Yeah. And so what that means is, Heneka, you probably have enough with your podcast and all of the things that you're doing. You probably have enough material to post 5 times a day. But LinkedIn doesn't want you to do that. They would rather you post once a day, 3 times a week, or once a week with really good quality information, a quality post that sparks conversation, that gets people engaged and conversing with you through the comments. Just once a day, or, again, once a week could work.
Okay. And so as you talk about the type of post, because, posting is one thing, quantity is one thing, as you alluded to, quality. So based on our field of expertise and so on, what are some of the types of posts that we should be focusing on?
I always say that with LinkedIn, it's not a place to just obnoxiously sell. There's a lot of people doing it. A lot of people are on LinkedIn selling obnoxiously. But really, LinkedIn is not the place to go and just keep, just talk nothing more about your services or your products and drone on and on. That people don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that. But instead, really think about how can you add value to your target audience? How can you help them? How can you educate them? How can you inspire them? Everyone has a different topic that they specialize in. So it's hard for me to say very specifically, but it could be sharing an interesting article. It could be sharing a quote. It could be having an idea of a story or something that affected you, a tip, or maybe even some advice. That would be something fabulous to share on LinkedIn. And when you share, you want to make sure that you use hashtags. Hashtags help your content get found, but it also helps LinkedIn understand who is going to resonate to that content. Because people go in and they follow hashtags. It's their way of saying, hey, these are topics that I'm interested in. And LinkedIn has actually gone on record to say that they want their LinkedIn feed, to be people you care about, people that you know, talking about the things that you care about. That's what they're striving to make that LinkedIn feed. So if you can make sure that the content that you're creating is good quality content, it's interesting, it adds value, it inspires, that you're tagging it with the right types of hashtags that convey to LinkedIn, this is information that my target audience is going to like. And then if you do one more thing, Heneka, and that is, if you also, in addition to posting, you also engage with other people on LinkedIn. This is the one thing a lot of people forget about. They get so hung up on, I have to post. But what you can also do is, go through your LinkedIn feed and interact with people, interact with your target audience, show LinkedIn that you know them and they know you. And so that when you do post, they're the ones that are going to be more apt to see it because LinkedIn is going to show it to them very specifically.
Sounds exciting, to be posting in this time and just learning for persons who are not so tuned into LinkedIn to be, tuning in now and to be making those edits and stuff to their profile. Now, talk to us about any automation tool. Would you suggest that automations be used in terms of scheduling on LinkedIn?
So you could use something like a tool like Hootsuite to schedule out, but what I found is when you use a tool to schedule out your posts, LinkedIn somehow caps those posts. They don't perform as well as if you went straight to LinkedIn and posted immediately on the platform itself. So you could do it, and I certainly recommend doing it. I think posting, even if it's going to take a little bit of a hit, is still better than not posting at all.
Right. Or
But
e-clincher, like I just mentioned in the intro.
yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yeah, but with eClincher, like again, it's LinkedIn has been known. They will clip it. They won't give it as big of an audience, but at the same time, they're still giving it an audience. And if you're posting and it allows you to post consistently good quality information, I think it's the right tool to use. Now, there are other automation tools where you can automate sending invitations, you can automate sending messages, you can automate visiting other people's profiles. Those tools, those automation tools are frowned upon. LinkedIn doesn't like those. But to do a scheduling for social media posts, that's totally fine.
Awesome. All right, so let's move into selling on the platform, right? I mean, a lot of people just go on and just sell and just perhaps just annoy you with their in your inbox and stuff. Talk to us about that and how to, the best practice that we should use when we are engaging on LinkedIn, Donna.
I remember back when, I started my career, it was always said that sales is a numbers game. And sales is a numbers game. You've got to make, 1,000 cold calls to get to one, prospect that turns to a lead that turns into, a sale and blah, blah, blah. I think with LinkedIn, I like to think of it as not really a numbers game at all, but a place that you go and you research your prospects, you research those ideal clients, and you really find the right people. You use it for business intelligence. You find the people that you need to be connecting with. And you pay attention to see, are they active on LinkedIn? Are they posting? And if they are posting, make sure that you jump in there and comment or like or even share their posts and see what matters to them. And then make sure that when you're on LinkedIn, you're engaging with them. Once you've commented or shared a post and you're starting to forge a bit of a relationship, at that point, that's when you could message them and ask for, a call or, for something else. I just don't like the idea, and I see it day in and day out. I'll go to my network section of LinkedIn, and it's people who want to immediately invite me into their network and sell me something. How can you sell me if you don't really know me, right? So, it's really about using LinkedIn to get to know and then offer something very specific that hits their needs.
Absolutely. That makes all the sense in the world, and do your research as you alluded to. And in terms of the LinkedIn, would you say that there is LinkedIn specific content that we should be thinking of? So the same thing that we post on Facebook is not necessarily the same thing we're going to post on Twitter versus LinkedIn.
It's funny. I was talking to a person earlier today, and he called me up and he said, "Donna, I need to get on Linkbook." And I didn't correct, I didn't correct or anything, but it made me smile because in some ways, LinkedIn is getting more and more like Facebook. At one time, you really had to be careful with what you posted, and it was very, very professional, very much career oriented. But what I'm finding is people are, and maybe it's just been through 2020 that this shift occurred. But, I find that people are being much more personable on LinkedIn. And they're sharing more about their family. They're sharing more about their education. They're sharing more about their hobbies. And those posts do extremely well. Extremely well. Now, at the same time, there is still this boundary that LinkedIn is for business, and this is your network. These aren't your family and friends necessarily, but they are your friends, and you don't want to be too open you don't expose yourself too much. So where I'm going with this, Heneka, is maybe not exactly the same content, but the content that you're sharing on Facebook could very well work well within LinkedIn, maybe with a few tweaks.
Absolutely. Absolutely understand that. All right. So I am going to ask the final question, which is optimizing your content based on analytics, because a lot of people don't realize that LinkedIn does provide those analytics for you. So how do you know optimize your content based on that? And then once you've answered that, I have asked you to leave your final thoughts. Just share your overall view as to, optimizing the profile, increasing our sales and our visibility.
Here's the thing. There is an ebb and flow to LinkedIn that I think people need to recognize. You could post something wonderful in right around Christmas, and it's going to be crickets. You're not going to hear anything. There's times when, in the summer where no one is hiring, and you're just not going to get the hits like you normally would, come the fall. So there's this ebb and flow. There's a seasonality to LinkedIn. Now, when you go on LinkedIn, you absolutely do get stats. You can see how well, how many people are viewing your profile. And that's a really good indicator of how well your profile is performing. If you're getting hits, that's a fabulous thing. But in addition, are people reaching out? Do they want to learn more about you? Are there opportunities getting dropped in your lap? That's another great sign that your profile is performing well. When you start to look at your posting, again, recognize that, hey, you might post something and maybe you just posted it at the wrong time. Maybe it was the wrong day and it didn't do so well. But if you're seeing that your posts just aren't really getting hit out of the ballpark at all, there's certain things that you can do. One of the first things I would always say is, check to see how many connections you have on LinkedIn, which sounds so basic, but Heneka, you'd be surprised how few people actually have, a good enough network. If you have less than 100 people, you're basically, you're giving a speech in a closet. Mm-hmm. So you need to connect with people. You need to make sure you're using the right hashtags. You want to make sure that you're commenting on other people's posts. You want to make sure that what you're posting has, you're not burying the lead, but you're really thinking about how to make it more attention getting, especially in the beginning before it collapses on a person's LinkedIn feed. So those are just some things I think to really consider when you think about LinkedIn and the analytics that they give you to really determine, what your success is.
Awesome. All right. So move right into sharing your final thoughts with us, Donna. Things that perhaps I didn't ask, but you think it's important to share with my audience.
I really feel that with LinkedIn, a lot of times people come to me and they say, I'm just not getting the success. I'm not getting the opportunities. And oftentimes they're not getting the opportunities because they're not ready for the opportunities. Their profile isn't optimized. It's showcasing them in a manner that they were years ago. Maybe they've added 3 positions, but they didn't put any description on those positions, and all of the description is far in their past. That's why they're not getting hit. They're not colliding with the right recruiters or hiring managers, or even for that matter, prospects who might be needing their current services because their profile is optimized for who they used to be. A lot of times it's also, do you have everything out there that showcases you, that's really showing your relevancy? Do you have everything that you need ready to go in your back pocket? And a lot of times the answer is no. So if you're not finding that success, really think about, how am I branding myself? How am I showcasing myself? Do I have everything that I need so the universe can deliver those opportunities to me?
Absolutely. And finally, please share, Donna, how we may get in touch with you.
Sure. Well, you can find me on LinkedIn, but you can also visit. I know, it's crazy.
That was coming, right?
You can always find me on LinkedIn, but you can also visit my website. My website is linkedin-makeover.com, and I do some crazy things on my website. One of the things is I have a huge free resources section where I give away 3 chapters of my book. I give away a LinkedIn headline generator app, which allows you to really generate an optimized, intriguing, engaging LinkedIn headline with just a click of a button. I also have a text formatter there that's free to use. And then if you go into the services, you'll see that I have services with pricing, and you see exactly end to end what it looks like to work with us. So absolutely visit my website, linkedin-makeover.com.
Awesome. Donna Serdulo, thank you so much. You have provided a wealth of information where LinkedIn is concerned, and I thank you so much for that, for sharing your expertise with us, with me and my community. Thank you.
Thank you. It was such an honor to talk with you.
Absolutely. And thank you, my peak performer, for tuning in to this episode with Donna Serdulo. I certainly look forward to connecting with you next week. In the meantime, of course, you know you can connect with me for all things podcasting, the books, the coaching, podcast production, online course, etc., etc. Just visit HenekaWatkis-Porter.com and send me a message from my homepage via the WhatsApp icon. Here's a point of hope for this week. You will eat the fruit of your labor. Blessings and prosperity will be yours. Psalm 128, verse 2. What good?
We needed to raise capital, but our experience with local financial institutions was that they were cautious and slow to act, and interest rates were far too high. We had real concerns about financing our business through outside equity investors and the possibility of interference. Could we get a fair valuation for our business? We had our own ideas about the business and its value. Should I go the traditional route of bank financing, or should I try the Jamaica Stock Exchange? So we made a call and experienced transformation of our business through conversations. I'm John Mafood, CEO of Jamaican Teas, and we're listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
Give us a call today at 876-967-3271 to begin your transformation through conversation. We want to see your company listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange.